Jeff Tucker, the man, the myth, the legend. Thanks for doing this, man. I really appreciate it. I know you're busy, and I don't know. Only took us about 6 months to get this together.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's good. It's a good switch of pace on a Friday. So
Yeah, right. A lot of meetings, a lot of herding cats. Yeah, that's great. Well, hey, why don't we just dive in? If you don't mind, just giving a quick intro. I'd love to know how someone goes from a psychology major, as a fellow psychology major. I don't want to bag it at all. Yeah, how do you go from University of Alabama to running like what Fortune 100 SEO earned media for SoFi? I'd love to hear your story, Jeff.
yeah, it's a great question. I asked myself that question all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I honestly I did want to go into the psych field, but I kind of started thinking about how to apply those lessons and insights into business format, and marketing is probably like one of the most applicable areas for that.
100%.
Yeah, it was really like back when I was in school, I really just kind of heard murmurings of how like there are things you can do and strings you can pull to make yourself show up more in Google. And,
Mm,
even today I tell people that and they're like, "Oh, I've never thought about that."
hmm.
And I just kind of got to thinking like, oh, could be a really lucrative field if you think about it. And I sort of just walked a pathway that's pretty traditional. I started at a really small startup where I was basically tasked with, and I quote, get more people to the website. That was my job description. And that sent me down a lot of like self learning of SEO and just how Google ranks things and how to use SEM for deeper insights. From there, I went into the agency world, dipped my toes into a lot of different clientele, which is great. I suggest that to anybody that's, getting started in the field. And then I just took a big chance with SoFi. This was 2017, very new to the market. They were pretty much only doing student loans. And I will admit that my interest in the position was that they would help pay off my student loans. So, unbeknownst to me, did I ever think they would grow to what they have, but it's been a wild ride. I came in, there was no SEO going on at all. It was just me, myself, and I for a couple years. I had to kind of prove some concepts, which, like with SEO, especially starting from scratch, can take a while. And as I sort of showed the value there, and as we launched new products and went public and started blowing up, I was fortunate enough to build out a really capable team under me. So we have a pretty full-fledged content and SEO squad running things here now.
Yeah. It's been from afar. It's been fun to watch. Do you think your time at an agency helped you because you went from a one-man band to now multiple product lines? I guess you call them probably CMOs of product lines, and then fulfillment, tracking, allocating like not just one budget anymore, now multiple budgets. You have student loans, now you have checking, now you have farms and refis. I guess my question is how do you keep all the plates spinning? Is there a secret to managing wearing so many hats? At least you just get to focus on earned and maybe not the SCM side, but like what was that transition like from you from going from student loans to multiple products?
It's challenging, I'll be honest with you. I guess maybe this is where I can maybe tie it back to like an interest in psychology. At the end of the day, yeah, you are working with different products and you do kind of have to understand the economics and the competitive field and all that basic sort of business stuff. But really at the core of it, you're working with multiple people. And so
Yes.
you need to understand where are these people coming from? What are their fears? What are their interests? What are they, looking for in terms of a year later? And you eventually get to a point where you understand what somebody is prone to ask and what they're going to needle into before they do it. And if you can supply them with that, then it keeps them satiated. So I would say it's really been a lot of kind of like understanding the business unit leads, what their appreciation and understanding and concepts of not just like the product, but like the overall environment. Like, what does
Mm.
this person think about the investing platform competitive market? What does this person think about the student loan market? And sort of like match them on that interest level.
I'm sure a lot of it's around trust, right? Because what I feel with a lot of CMOs, they're always having to validate their value for different channels. For you, I mean, working with so many stakeholders, I'm sure it might be easier since you were there from the genesis of this of multiple product lines, but like organic works, having good authority works, distribution across is going to pay off in the long run. Maybe we don't, I'm not going to give you 3 months of ROI, but I'll give you 2 years of ROI, right? If you just trust me on these things. I think you probably have done a really good job in the psychology world. Trust, transference of that trust, like trust the process, trust organic, trust authority. This will work. Trust me, the leads will come.
Yep. Yes. And you can do that. You can show baby steps. That's great. But what really sells is find a competitor and find something like new that they launched maybe a year ago, and you show their growth. And then you position it as, why aren't we doing this? Help me do this, and we can achieve this.
Yeah.
That's a much more attractive sell than showing like, hey, we're up 2%, and the next month I think we'll be up 3%. If you compound that over a year, we'll double. So yeah, I always try to pull like competitive insights, and it's not just for showing data too. I would say like anybody that is really passionate about their product, when they see something a competitor is doing and they see a gap is there, that kind of lights a fire under them and they get real interested.
Well, I can imagine for you, I mean, nothing's more competitive than financial services, right? Like nothing. So like what we see is people that have a lot of competitors, there's an underinvestment in their own authority, in their own organic earned media. For you, like you've managed that pretty well. I don't know. I don't want to get too close to SoFi trade secrets, but like maybe just the general advice for other CMOs that are in highly competitive markets, maybe the value of having great authority and distributing it well across the internet.
Yeah. Well, I've had a lot of experience in like launching new products, right? So, we came into the mortgage space, which is a very dominated space by, you can imagine the name I'm about to say, Rocket Mortgage.
Yes, yes.
They own the world there. And, I knew I wasn't going to take over Rocket Mortgage in week one, but my approach was, let's find smaller spaces that I can own so that over time, Google sees like, okay, maybe this brand does deserve a little respect. So we started taking smaller approaches into sort of just smaller subject matters, or maybe the search volume isn't there altogether. But if you do something in a high quantity of hundreds to 1,000, all that stacks up.
Mm.
That helped us build an authority to our product pages where, now we're in a competitive set for those really high term searches like mortgage lender, online mortgage application, stuff like that. And that was part of the kind of what we were talking about earlier, where, everybody's like, how do we overtake Rocket? How do we overtake Rocket?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I have to show that, hey, we're going to win in this space, and that's going to help us win in this space. And then that's going to help us win in the space that you care about.
That's a good segue because I want to talk about the new world now, right? Because one, I want to get your view as like, what is the state of organic right now, right? I'm actually really excited about it. Others may be more bearish, but what I'm finding is with AI overviews, with 5%, like Wall Street Journal just published that 5% of searches now are happening on the chats. What I'm noticing is, we do our traditional content mapping. This, mortgages. I want to be mortgage lenders. That's a pillar keyword. But it seems like everything you were talking, long tail, we call them long tails, but like these sub conversations, like the keyword now is 5 times longer in the chat because it's a much broader conversation now. Like, do you have a view, just one, about those like content mapping, doing that well, or two, just like, I mean, this is a more philosophical conversation. Where the hell are we? And what's the state of SEO? Like, are you excited about it, worried about it, like all of the above?
Yeah. I'd say for our field, I choose to be optimistic. It's easy to be fearful. Maybe on a grander scale, like I'm a little bit fearful in terms of like Terminator.
Yeah. You've heard the concept of P Doom?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's a different conversation.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I do want to know what your P Doom is.
I would say, like, I think it's an opportunity, and people, you have a choice here. It's a fork in a road. You can be fearful, or you can be excited. I'm
Mhm.
choosing to be excited because in SEO, there is an aspect of SEO where, like, yeah, things are changing, algorithms change, you see Google preferences change, but in a way, it's kind of rotisserie. It's at the end of the day, I've always said Google has an electric bill to pay every month, just like us, and they want you to make that easier for them. So
Right.
that's really like the core of SEO. Now we kind of have those principles still the same, just applied to different platforms, but this is a whole new world. That's going to give us a lot of opportunity for testing things out that may be a little bit more novel that, we over time in SEO, you're like, yeah, I wouldn't test that because I know from the past that that may not work. But we don't know that for these LLMs.
Right.
So I choose to be excited, but that doesn't go without saying that it's challenging. And speaking of like the prompt development, that is a really big black hole that I have noticed. And
Mm,
I've noticed that from speaking to a multitude of different vendors where I'm trying to, figure out like keywords, like you said, very short mortgage application. But yeah, the prompts are much more conversational, and we don't have the guidance of search volume there.
mm,
Now, I've tried to use traditional Google search volume for that, but we get into this territory where it is very conversational, and the data is just not there on the Google side to support that.
mhm.
So what I've been trying to do is, and this is in no ways perfect, but start at a bigger concept. So like online mortgage. What are the 100 variations of questions? The who, what, when, how, why, and how can I scramble those up into human tones and then spread that out, create a list of 100 and say, okay, here are, I mean, if you can think of another 100, surprise me. But these are
Right.
probably going to be the most 100 asked questions around
Mhm.
this topic and measure those at scale. So, I've talked to a lot of vendors. It's kind of a wide array of approaches here where some people, they say, yeah, we run these prompts once a day or some once a week. And then you have some that are like, yeah, we run these like 1,000 times a day.
Yeah.
Now, which is the better approach? I don't know yet. You can get into like maybe a paralysis by analysis if
Mhm.
you do it too much. So I think that's a big learning is like, how do we understand the variance, right? Because in SEO, I never report on, hey, we ranked here today or we're ranking
Yes.
here right now. Because then somebody's going to look it up and it's going to be different and they're going to call me a liar.
You're right.
I always say we have an average for the month because anybody can look something up at different times of day and it changes. I think that's something the industry kind of needs to feel out with the LLMs is like, what is the right cadence of reporting? What is the variance there? And that's going to be tough because even right now, like all these LLMs, they're kind of changing their approaches, pretty fast paced. So we don't really have a set, firm platform to really gauge on, but I think it's something that, the industry as a whole, we got to kind of like iron out.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I remember like a conversation with you maybe a year ago about focusing on the fundamentals. Like, do you want to rank well? Do you want more traffic? Do what Google tells you. And I don't think a lot, and I think what Google tells you is really first principle. EEAT, your experience, expertise, authority, trustworthiness. Like that does not change because now that we have AI overviews, you still have to prove that you're an expert on this. You do have to get backlinks. You have to get the internet chattering about your authority. It's a first principle that you're referenced by editorial sites. Like none of that to me is really changed. I know people say SEO is dead. It's like, well, the engine part might be getting eaten, but the idea of distribution of authority and gaining authority has not. For me, it's exciting because I've always used to be below the ads, but now I'm back to the top of the page, baby. I'm an AI overview. I mean, organic is best real estate ever. My SEM agency buddies are now all of a sudden AI SEO experts. So it's just like, oh, that must mean that this is important again. It's definitely not dead. It's just different.
It is. And I know for a fact that Google has explicitly been testing and stating that there's some cases where maybe an AI experience isn't the best user experience.
Right.
At the end of the day, like Google is a product themselves. They care about user experience on their platform. And what I always kind of give an example of is like Amazon and all these .coms in the early 2000s, when they launched, we all thought, like, if you were to tell me in 2005 that there would still be physical Best Buys in 2025, I
Yeah,
would
yeah.
not believe you. But they still exist. And the reason is when somebody's really at like a major transactional decision point, they want to kind of feel the product. They want to put their fingers
Hmm.
on it. They want to understand like how it feels to them and if it's a good connection, really. There's some things where people are going to want to go to the website and they don't want to read bullet
Right.
points from a robot that
Yeah.
says here's the things you should check out. So I do think there's still going to be, it may just be like a little more transactional than the stuff where we get a lot of traffic from. Um, things like how does an APY work, stuff like that.
Hmm.
They can get answered with an AI overview, but what's the conversion rate for that keyword? It's not as much as
No.
online mortgage company. So yeah, it's just a shift in perspective, a shift in opportunity between like transactional and educational, I think.
Yeah, those informational searches are getting eaten alive, but the transactional searches, like somewhere you have to map that conversation. What is the best mortgage for me in Roswell, Georgia, all the way to who's the best vendor or who's the best bank for me to go through, broker, whatever it is. Somehow, I mean, that's the thing that's different about these AI models. I had a he was on Lex Friedman. What's his name? Roman. He's kind of he's very down on AI safety, but like the way he described it is like these things are alien plants. We they were built 10 years ago, the coding, and then we just started throwing compute at it, just tons and tons of compute. And for some reason, they just keep growing and doing things. And so this is very different than hands on keyboard. We can't validate what's in the code base. They couldn't give us guidance on how search works if they wanted to. We're just having
Yeah.
to kind of figure it out as we go. And so I don't, I think as people in the earn space, we have to figure out, well, what's going to be the new UI? It's not going to be a search bar anymore. I'm going to be talking to some type of device. I'm going to have some minority report heads up where I'm interacting with this. But at the end of the day, our websites are so important because they're still informing the models.
Yeah, I agree. And it is weird. Like been testing all this stuff out and I have a multitude of apps on my phone. And at first I did start just typing like that. I kind of just converse with it through type. Uh, and now I'm basically like in a relationship with these things where
Right.
I converse with it with just like everything. Like
Yeah.
I I've gotten to the point where maybe even I feel like my communication skills have like diminished because I'll get like, how should I respond to this text?
Have you not been answering my emails? Is that just your bot talking to me?
No, it's replaced Grammarly for me. I can use it to make this sound more business appropriate.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's super interesting. Yeah, I mean, do you think, well, what do you think about content generation? Do you think the models will start, because I want to lead into, I didn't prep you for this, but I do think for me personally, social is a big part of the training. And I'm wondering what that means for organic now, because it didn't used to be something we were very active on because they were, what do you call them, closed gardens. We didn't do a lot. But now what we're finding is organic content that has high engagement, like on X or Facebook, is actually getting referenced as source data. That's very new to me. So I'm curious what your thoughts are on. Do you think you'll be spending more time on social? I don't even know how active SoFi is on social, but B2B, that's a brand new concept.
Yeah. Yeah. So I would say there's two places where people need to kind of put their attention to put something out there that does get picked up from LLMs. One of those is social, and the other one is affiliate sites.
Isn't
Uh,
that funny how it's circular like that?
it's interesting. The social aspect. I mean, yeah, you can try to focus on being more engaged and try to focus on like responding to everything just to get more out there about yourself. What I'm trying to do is get a little bit more um, tactical and strategic in finding opportunities via like gaps in LLMs. What is something where SoFi doesn't have a voice in ChatGPT where our competitors do? And then working with like our content or brand or social team to maybe work on a podcast that we release where I, kindly ask and plead, could you specifically ask this question or like state something around this concept so that seems natural and gets released into social channels. Um, and then that can help us get picked up for the specific things that we want to track. The other side is the affiliate side, which comes a lot into play with like brand mentions. So like give me the top mortgage companies in Roswell, Georgia. There's a lot of platforms where you can track exactly where that information is coming from. You can also always do a follow-up prompt.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's something people don't consider is like, I'll say, what are those top mortgage companies? And then I'll just ask, where are you pulling this information from? And that's
Yes.
what I need.
Yeah, exactly. That's
Uh,
where, okay, well, now I need to go get that listicle or that affiliate.
yep. So that's where you work. I work with like the affiliates team and say, hey, can we get our placement here? There's also a black hole there because we're just now starting this. So I can't tell you the value of getting traffic from a prompt. But over time, by tracking that with like a referral URL from ChatGPT, I could see that, hey, we started showing up for these really high volume prompts and it's delivering us these many conversions. So paying $10,000 for this placement was a great idea. That's just going to be something that has to be rolled out over time. It's not something anybody really has right now.
Yeah, no, let me tell you just something that just drives me nuts is Google used to punish those websites, those fake websites where they did these lists and all of a sudden, oh, your company's number one. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. But it was self-published. Those are back. Like I'm noticing like agencies doing this, their own agency URL, best 10 SEO companies, and they're number one for some reason. I'm just like,
Yeah.
why is that back? Like that is so self-serving. The algorithm caught it, but for some reason we're not at a point with LLMs where we're de-emphasizing content like that. I mean, it's just that's horrible.
Wait till they get to the point of, so I was reading like types of content that these LLMs pick up, and the most attractive type of content to these LLMs is comparisons.
Yes.
So we may even get to a point where somebody's doing a comparison against their own direct competitor on their own website. And I would hope they give themselves the edge. But it is, like you said, like it is a little bit self-serving and
yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. Maybe it works for some people.
Yeah, I know. I do think the point of just in general, people need websites will get bigger, right? Because you have to be more thorough. Because if we're going to agentic search or automation in any way, your pricing, your case studies, because like, how's that conversation going to go? Give me the best SEO company. Tell me their track record. What are they priced? How do they stack up against other, what is their experience within my industry? Do they have references? That's all good website hygiene anyway, but you got to go deeper. And what we've noticed, if we're able to rank on any like long-term keyword searches, like we put an N in front of neat, we just do new niche. And so like we're competitive in SaaS SEO, but we write all kinds of very unique content about like funnel management or, things to consider in SaaS when you're engaging in doing organic. I mean, just like very unique content and so detailed authorship, table of content stickies, references. I mean, it's a lot of work. We've had to like scale back volume of content and just go deeper and bigger pieces of content because it's not a human reading anymore. It's a summarization by a bot.
Mm-hmm. Yep, agreed. And yeah, the content strategy, I mean, I don't want to say the term spray and pray, but we were doing a wide array of content.
Because you could.
Yeah, because we could. And I wanted to build that authority up. Like I wanted to show Google, hey, I've covered all the bases on this real specific financial matter. So give me a boost for the bigger concept. And those drove traffic, like I said, like if you stack all that stuff up, it does drive a lot of traffic. Now, in my case and many other businesses, you can't just put content out there and let it collect dust. It takes a cost to manage it and keep it updated and keep it fresh. Now, are all those like real specific subject pieces worth that money now? Maybe not. So maybe you should put in more time and budget into like just the real high volume type concepts in hopes to get it picked up by LLMs.
Yeah, well, we're killing pages that don't perform. That helps. But we're doubling down on pages that just they need an update. I mean, for you in the your money, your life sector, I mean, imagine you have to do that anyway, right? everything's got to be fresh, everything's got to be accurate. But yeah, I think that's great. Anything like specifically have snippets, like AI snippets in the YMYL space? Has that affected you a lot?
Yeah, it's funny because at the start of all this, everybody was really assuring that, like, hey, Google is putting these out there at a much lower rate for your industry.
Yeah,
So you really don't have anything to worry about. That has definitely changed.
it
That
is.
flipped upside down. Uh, but what I would say is interesting is they do seem to have a little bit of reservation in their approach. So a lot of times in our field, the AI overview is like in the middle of the page. And if you think about it, that's really no different than a people also asked accordion or
Right.
something like that. So it's just another search feature. Um, I would also say, like, with AI overviews and with finance, it's similar to like wanting to experience the product, and somebody wants the perspective. Like, there's a lot of things where, like, I could ask ChatGPT for information about, adopting a puppy. But I would much rather talk to, like, one of my best friends who's been a dog owner for years. And, like, I appreciate their perspective. And so with a lot of finance stuff, I think it's a similar approach. Like, people want to know from a human, not
Yes.
necessarily read bullet points black and white.
No, that's that trust issue again. Like my closest trust is my neighbor. And
Mm.
if that's not available, then I'll probably go to like humans on social media or Reddit. And if AI is summarizing that data and recommending SoFi, well, that's actually a pretty good proxy for trust.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's interesting. Well, okay, we're running up on our time. Like any predictions for 2026? What are you preparing for, I guess, in terms of, earned media search?
Yeah. I mean, I do think that there's going to be a growth that, I mean, I don't know if you saw, like, Google's earnings the other
Oh my
day.
gosh, they crushed it.
They crushed it. They're doing great in search. I think that was a little bit reaffirming for us. But I do think we get to an inflection point in the next year, maybe 2 years, where we see cannibalization coming to Google traditional search. Because, like, if you were to ask my uncle what Chat GPT is, he probably wouldn't be able to tell you at this
Hmm.
point, but it's going to be inevitable. So we'll hit that inflection point. I do think there's also a growing opportunity, and you've seen these, like, Perplexity just launched their
Comet.
search engine. And so for us, like, I'm going to choose that positive attitude again. I'm going to view
Yeah.
that as an opportunity. Not since the release of Bing have I had a new search engine to play with. So yeah, I do think that is where it's going to come in and start eating into Google's share, is where people say, like, oh, there's other search engines out there
Yeah.
that are really easy to converse with.
Yeah, I mean, this it's kind of fun because I think Gemini and Chat GPT are just different enough. I've noticed with Chat sometimes it does take the more unique content, where Gemini obviously follows the SERP a little bit more, or what traditional Google does. And so, yeah, like you said, it's fun to play with it. I don't know what to think about Perplexity or Grok, or will they'll play out in the search world, but they're all powerful models. I don't know, but I think your point is spot on. Like play with it, keep ahead of it.
Yeah, and ChatGPT, I mean, they have, like, if I look at the app on my phone, there's like 10 different versions in there. And I've read about this where, like, each one of those has some advantage over the other. Like, you're supposed to use them for different things. You're supposed to use one if you want to create visual assets. You're supposed to use one if you
Yes.
want, like, deep data studies. That, let's be honest, that's really complicated stuff. I think eventually in the next couple of years, we'll get to a point where, ChatGPT gets just to, like, super version 6.0, and that does everything. So that might make it a little bit easier for us because, I'm talking to these vendors about how to attract these prompts and our performance. And it's like, well, the results from 4.0 are different from, like, the mini version. And, it just makes things, like, super convoluted. So I'm excited for them to try to integrate that into just, like, one model.
Well, yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, there's a trade-off with every release. I mean, wasn't I think 4 was hallucinating more than 3. I mean, well, I guess 4 is still mini. It's not the major model, but like there's trade-offs. I mean, yes, you're more has more reasoning, but it also tells a lot more lies.
Yeah.
There's still like we talk trust a lot on this. People still don't trust the models 100%. I definitely am not letting it talk to my customers.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, I have like a little swing trading model I set up, and the prices it gives me are literally like completely wrong.
Just lies. Yeah.
Yeah, it just completely makes stuff up, and I'm like, God, you could like make me go broke if I really trusted you. But yeah, hopefully that improves. Yeah.
Yeah. Anything you want to leave anybody with? I don't know. You're not real big on social media yourself. You may not want to be found. So, but can people find you anywhere?
No, you can. I mean, I was blessed to have a custom LinkedIn URL. It's just Jeff David Tucker.
Jeff
Uh,
David Tucker.
so yeah, feel free to hit me up on LinkedIn. I do like, discussing things with people in the field. I think, sharing, information and wisdom is great for everybody. Kind of rising tides lifts all boats. So yeah, feel free to reach out. And I mean, I just want to go back and say, I know a lot of people are every day. I read Microsoft lays off 5,000 people. So that creates a sense of fear. But me, for one, I'm going to choose to tackle it like an opportunity. And I think that's a better approach than being a little nervous.
Yeah, I think it kind of comes back to that human element. I think you said it yourself. You were successful for your ability to work with other managers to demonstrate ROI. And people need to lean into what makes them human and effective, just as much. So and I think people still want human content and they want human validation. So yeah, I agree. I'm very excited about it. I am worried about safety for my kids, but I'm excited.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, the next generation, I don't
Who
know.
knows?
I mean, we're going to have to go back to like written exams with a pencil.
Yes. Yeah. With your implant in your head. Turn your implants off, everybody. So, Jeff, you're awesome, man. Thanks so much for this. I really appreciate you doing that. That was really fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.